Innovations for Defense Excellence. iDEX. Asmakam Karyani. Asman Savadi Karishyanti. Realizing the vision of Honorable Prime Minister in activating India 2.0 during the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, iDEX is launching the 6th edition of Defense India Startup Challenge. Rubberized trackpad for BMP-2. BMP-2 track system consists of forged steel track shoes with double pin configuration. The trackpad should provide grip as well as cushion while moving on the ground. It should also prevent excessive wear and tear to the tracked wheel and reduce damage to roads and noise, which is difficult with forged steel track shoes. Hence, it is required to design a trackpad to reduce the noise and vibration level of BMP-2. Automation of track adjustment mechanism of BMP-2. In BMP-2, the trackpad provides grip as well as a cushion while moving on the ground. Also, it prevents excessive wear and tear to the tracked wheel and reduces damage to the roads and noise. The trackpad is required to be adjusted periodically for the effective functioning of BMP-2. The existing track adjustment mechanism in BMP-2 involves manual arrangement. There is a requirement to automate the existing manual track adjustment mechanism without deterioration in the existing performance characteristics in the BMP-2. Lighting management system for BMPs. The present lighting system in infantry fighting vehicle BMP-2 uses incandescent lighting technology, which provides low illumination, consumes high power, and also generates heat signature. To update the BMP-2 vehicles with the world peers in terms of power saving, reduction in heat signature, to provide better illumination to crew with intensity control, and to use the contour lights for friend or foe identification application. In addition to the basic purpose, there is a requirement to improve the existing lighting system using latest indigenously available technology. Scalable wireless network for autonomous mobile platforms. Real-time, low-latency wireless communication network is used for secure communications between autonomous mobile platforms and transfer of data to ground stations. Currently, there is no efficient, scalable wireless communication network for autonomous mobile platforms. Hence, it is required to develop wireless communication modules, ground station and application software for autonomous mobile platforms. Active hydro-pneumatic suspension. Vehicles and locomotives in the mines and construction sites are impacted by rough and uneven terrains. The suspension system assures high-speed, safe running of the machine, free from pitching and rolling, even when the vehicle is running on rough ground. It is required to indigenously develop active hydro-pneumatic suspensions with variable damping characteristics to meet different road profiles. Modular multi-axis MEMS gyroscope for avionics. Avionic inertial field applications such as gimbal control, navigation, LOS tracking, smart munitions, etc. require continuous and accurate monitoring of system orientation. Pilots and guidance systems use these data to determine the relative orientation of flight and its systems in space and take appropriate actions. It is therefore essential to develop a lightweight and rugged MEMS gyroscope module that can communicate through existing communication interfaces. The module should exhibit good bias in stability resistance, high vibration, and shock level endurance. Also, the system must have a service mode that lets the user overwrite and customize critical parameters. Platform screen door control units. platform screen doors are used in metro stations to isolate platforms from the track for passenger safety. These doors are controlled and automated based on the arrival and departure of the locomotives. It is imperative that these doors need efficient control mechanisms. It is therefore expected to develop specialized door control units and gear motors that facilitate passenger boarding and deboarding by synchronizing with the doors of the locomotives. To ensure passenger safety, the solution should detect an obstruction and be customizable with desired opening and closing times. Spiral antenna for uniform circular polarization. In airborne applications, antennas are essential subsystems that are responsible for radar warning receiver functionality, including direction finding. The existing antenna exhibits weak radiation pattern formation, dip in power levels at bore site, and elliptical polarization over the entire frequency band, deteriorating direction finding accuracy. To improve the direction finding accuracy, it is crucial to maintain a radiation pattern similar to a Gaussian curve and have uniform polarization characteristics. There is a requirement to design a wide-band spiral antenna with a conducting cavity enclosed by FRP radome without deviating from the overall size of the existing antenna. AI-enabled AR/VR welding helmet. During shipbuilding, welders wear conventional welding helmets to protect their eyes from bright, blinding arcs and high temperatures. The traditional helmet allows the welder to see only the arc, forcing them to rely on the muscle memory to track the weld path on the job. It is expected that an AR/VR solution is developed which helps the welder to get a real-time view of the job and the weld path. Welders should also be able to view their welding parameters in comparison to the ideal WPS parameters, thus facilitating the welder to take immediate corrective measures during welding errors. AI-based condition monitoring system for yard assets. Goa Shipyard Limited is equipped with high-value equipment and infrastructure such as ship lift, transfer systems, and level luffing cranes. At present, these yard assets are monitored manually to identify technical issues, defects, and routine maintenance is conducted, which is inefficient and results in unpredictable downtime. An AI system is required to predict and prevent maintenance requirements and provide efficient yard management methods to the user. The solution should also feature a generic sensor system that shall be installed on the yard assets to aggregate data as input to the AI algorithm. Durable parachute for paragliding. Paragliders risk their lives during practice and various paragliding operations, including search, rescue, and insurgency attacks. These parachutes are often subjected to damages by the coarse, high-speed wind, improper flying environment, etc., resulting in serious injuries and fatal accidents to the soldiers. It is imperative to develop a safe and reliable parachute for the soldiers for paragliding. Durable parachute for parasailing. Parasailers are usually deployed in waterlines where the wind speed is very high, causing damages to the parachute. They are dropped at the desired location during various operations on the battlefield or insurgency scenarios to bring about the surprise to the adversary. Many fatal accidents have occurred in practice and during operations due to certain inadequacies in the design, development, and testing processes. It is necessary to develop a parachute for parasailing that ensures adequate safety and can be used effectively during various operations by the Indian Armed Forces. Precision-driven compact gyro motor. The Indian Army's battle tanks and artillery guns are equipped with gyro motors for stabilizing the field of view for the crew of the tank or gun. It provides a clear field of view for the operating crew to identify targets and engage them precisely with the ammunition. A gyro motor that is specifically designed for such applications is not readily available and still reliant upon foreign nations. There is a need to indigenously develop a gyro motor meeting various applications to support the Indian Armed Forces. Precision-driven compact gyro chassis. Gunner sights in the battle tank and in artillery guns are installed with gyro motor within gyro chassis to provide stabilized field of view to the tank or gun crew of the Indian Army. This provides a clear field of view to the operating crew for the identification of targets for precise engagement with the given ammunition. Gyro motors specific to such applications are not readily available and still dependent on foreign nations. There is a need to indigenously develop a gyro motor meeting various applications to support the Indian Armed Forces. Torque generator stator 800 in gunner's sight of tank T90. Once the stator in the tank T90's gunner sight is activated, it moves the gyro horizontally to ensure accurate stabilization of the gyro platform. Stators, after a prolonged period of usage, its performance gets reduced, which will have a direct bearing on the efficiency of the gunner sight. At present, India Optel is dependent on imports. Due to the periodical upgradation of the system, it becomes difficult to arrange the component within the desired turnaround time. To overcome the dependency on import, there is a need for indigenously developed torque generator stator meeting various applications in the gunner's sights for the Indian Defence Forces. Torque generator stator 1000 in gunner sight of tank T90. The stator is installed in the gunner sight of tank T90. As it gets energized on powering on, it moves the gyro vertically, thereby maintaining accurate stabilization to the gyro platform. Stators, over a prolonged period of usage, its performance gets reduced and will have a direct bearing on the efficiency of the gunner sight. At present, India Optel is dependent on imports. Due to the periodical upgradation of the system, it becomes difficult to arrange within the desirable turnaround time. To overcome the dependency on imports, there is a need to indigenously develop a torque generator stator meeting various applications in the gunner's sights to the Indian Defence Forces. Steering console for maneuvering of underwater vessels. Underwater vessels have 6 degrees of freedom, which includes diving, surfacing, and changing direction. These parameters are monitored and controlled as per the operator inputs. It is required to develop an indigenous control system to aggregate various data points including depth, speed, position, thrust, etc. through serial link. It is also important that the console is capable of controlling the hydroplanes and rudder to maneuver the vessel in manual, auto, or emergency modes. Electromagnetic velocity log for underwater vessels. The velocity and distance parameters are crucial for precise and accurate navigation of underwater vessels. Underwater and surface missions rely on this real-time data to make crucial decisions. At present, these data are measured using traditional electromagnetic logs that do not provide significant insights to users. It is expected to develop an intelligent electromagnetic velocity log that is capable of measuring and displaying the parameters in real time. In addition, it should be able to analyze data, process it, and provide optimum responses to user requirements based on the scenario. Smoke shell composition filling. A smoke composition consists of titanium chloride and calcium silicate. When titanium chloride in smoke composition is exposed to humid air, it forms opaque clouds by an exothermic reaction that poses a safety risk. There is a requirement to develop suitable equipment involving a safe methodology for the technician to handle and fill the composition into the smoke shell. Low tolerance explosive powder filling. Explosive powder for ammunition are manually weighed, filled and pressed into metallic shells with a tolerance of 2 mg. This method is highly time-consuming and often leads to a tolerance error of 5 to 10 mg. It is expected to develop an automated system that can automatically weigh explosive powder with a maximum tolerance of 2 mg and also be able to fill powder in small metallic components. Thermal Agile Mannequin for Clothing Test. Troop Comforts Limited supplies a wide range of special clothing and mountable equipment and extreme cold clothing items for soldiers deployed in high altitude areas. Among the special clothing and mountable equipment items, many are being imported from foreign nations. Evaluation of the prototype is important for indigenization, and this evaluation of high-altitude troop comfort items is mainly done through field trials. These trials take a lot of time, and there is always uncertainty in results. But with the technological advancements, now there exists a method of objective evaluation of functional parameters in high-altitude conditions in less time and with more accuracy. It is required to develop a thermal agile mannequin to measure comfort parameters in a simulated high-altitude environment. Portable ballistic protection bunker. The troops stationed in forward posts along the line of control currently live in bunkers made of cement, mud, concrete, and stainless steel sheets. Most of the time, a combination of the above is used to protect against all weather-related aspects, provide protection against the shell and small arms fire. To withstand tropical weather conditions, the bunker must be bulletproof and blast resistant. In addition, it should also be portable, easy to set up, have inbuilt heating and cooling capabilities, and be self-sufficient in terms of power and communications. It is required to design and develop a bunker meeting the critical aspects as specified by the armed forces. Oxygen-free copper rods. Oxygen-free copper rods are manufactured for the production of ammunition hardware. These copper rods are manufactured through the melting, casting and extrusion process. At present, there is no established supplier in India and hence being imported from foreign countries. It is required to indigenously manufacture oxygen-free copper rods with specific dimensions for the production of ammunition hardware. Vulcanization of steel cups. Vulcanization of steel is done in order to increase the tensile strength, hardness, abrasion resistance, etc. for manufacturing components that require very strong molecular bonds like arming device holders and fuse holders. Currently in India, there is only a single known source for vulcanization of 120 mm steel. Hence, it is required to create another source for the vulcanization of steel. AI-based fishermen immigration management. India has approximately 3.1 lakh fishing boats. Some of the boats operating close to the international maritime boundary line traverse across it and are apprehended by maritime agencies of neighboring countries. Many technological solutions have been developed to monitor the movement of fishing boats, especially those close to the international maritime boundary line, but each has its own limitations. Therefore, it is required to develop an automatic accounting system for monitoring the arrival and departure of small boats, fishing boats, and the fishermen. Mass evacuation and recovery system in hydro disasters. During times of disasters, recovering people from lifeboats or life rafts to any place for safety is time-consuming and exhausting. Also, lifting people with helicopters or by climbing ladders or scrambled nets up sides adds to precious recovery and runaround time. Hence, there is a need for an alternative mass evacuation and rescue system which is practically feasible and economically viable. Global Maritime Distress and Safety Equipment. Global Maritime Distress and Safety System is designed to prevent unanswered calls and delay in search and rescue actions when distress situations occur. In order to effectively discharge search and rescue functions, various ships and establishments are to be provided with the latest safety system equipment. At present, there exists very little capability for the development of this equipment in India. Hence, it is required to develop equipment on a large scale to perform maritime distress and safety operations at sea. Multi-mission drone for naval safety. It is difficult to visualize the damage happening due to the oil spill at sea or to detect any hostile targets within the range. During maritime operations like visit, board, search and seizure, identifying the number of people at sea becomes problematic. This requires a solution in the form of drones with expandable payload potentials for multi-missions like seaboarding and oil spill response management. With these drones, it is easier to have situational awareness without potential risk. Virtual assistant for ship radar maintenance crew. The Indian Navy is fully prepared to safeguard the maritime interests of the nation. Effective maintenance of radar encompasses the maintenance of territorial integrity of India against maritime threats. The maintenance of ships' radar is currently done manually, which takes time. It is required to develop virtual assistant with AI, ML and AR tools to support the maintenance crew for the radar system. Continuous unmanned surveillance system for mechanized forces. Acquiring information and timely application in the battlefield is of utmost importance for success in today's information-centric warfare. These are instances where continuous surveillance of target areas will be required from elevated platforms to inherit the drawbacks of ground-based surveillance systems. The current capabilities of armored regiments and mechanized infantry battalions restricts the continuous surveillance. Hence, it is imperative to develop a system that enables continuous unmanned surveillance for mechanized forces. Leveling and harmonization of airframe equipment. When an aircraft is used for a long period of time, the alignment of the structure and aggregate elements may get disturbed, which results in suboptimal performance of the systems. The misalignment also occurs during change of components, servicing, overhauls, etc. Currently, the leveling on aircraft is done manually. The process is time-consuming and prone to errors. Hence, it is required to develop leveling and harmonization equipment to check and correct the alignment of airframe equipment as per design specifications. Handheld counter UAS system. The counter-unmanned aircraft systems are deployed to protect military bases, airports, critical infrastructures, and other important sites to counter hostile drones. With the advancements in drone-based attacks, the counter-unmanned aircraft system is the need of the hour. It is required to develop a self-contained, handheld, hard-kill counter UAS system that should be portable and operable by a single individual. Seamless monitoring system for Indo-Myanmar border. The entire Indo-Myanmar border is porous and suffers from fractured terrain. The altitude differential from the mean sea level is 12,000 feet. The entire border is unfenced, and due to the provisions of free move regime, there are issues pertaining to seamless domination and surveillance of persons crossing the Indo-Myanmar border from security point of view. It is expected to develop an indigenous solution with a seamless monitoring system for security and surveillance. Tunnel detection system. Detection and imaging of underground tunnels is a big challenge, especially in the context of border security, as the enemy can use his territory to dig a tunnel and open it up in our country to infiltrate or smuggle illegal objects like narcotics, explosives, or ammunition. The existing tunnel detection system is not feasible and efficient. Hence, it is required to develop a tunnel detection system that is able to detect dormant tunnels. Fog penetration radar. Dense fog in many parts of the western and eastern border often restricts border surveillance capabilities. This gap is often exploited for nefarious reasons. A fog penetration radar is required to detect targets under heavy fog and inclement weather conditions in countering the infiltration and smuggling activities in the bordering areas. The radar should be capable to do efficient surveillance under thick fog. Indian Arms Procurement Platform. The current system of arms procurement that enables CAPF to procure arms and ammunition is standardized by BIS. This platform requires a rework to enable CAPFs to procure arms and ammunition in a speedy, time-bound manner. After the corporatization of the Ordnance Factory Board, an efficient and easy-to-use Indian Arms Procurement Platform is the need of the hour. The platform should also allow CAPFs to procure arms and ammunition from private vendors under NCNC, no cost, no commitment format. Cold chain vegetable logistics system for forward areas. Jawans serve in forward areas and border outposts for a few months together with limited food and ration supplies. These supplies are processed and preserved in tins to ensure longer shelf life. But these tinned rations are difficult to be preserved for a longer duration in sub-zero temperatures. Also, tinned rations and food supplies have a high impact on the health and performance of the Jawans. Hence, it is required to develop a logistics system for the transportation of fresh vegetables to the Jawans in border outposts or forward areas. Indigenous development of amphibious vehicles. Rescuing stranded civilians from flood-affected areas is one of the most difficult tasks undertaken during disaster relief operations. The most common way of rescue currently being used involve helicopters, boats, and human assistance. An indigenously developed amphibious vehicle can be used to patrol the flood-prone areas and rescue operations. Inviting startups MSMEs, individual innovators, research and academic professionals to apply for Disc 6. Selected applicants will get grants up to Rs 1.5 crores along with the opportunity to co-create and co-develop the defense technologies of future with our armed forces. Besides the grant, selected winners receive product and business acceleration support from iDEX partner incubators, access to defense facilities for QA and certification. Applications are open at idex.gov.in.